All right, we're back in our 10-minute reading in the Psalms today. I have wounded them that they were not able to rise. They are all fallen under my feet. Verse 38 of chapter 18 of the book of Psalms. What he said here, Christ said here, is the same thing he said in Colossians in the New Testament. And that was that considering the believers are of the body of Christ. This means that all enemies are under our feet, because first of all, they were put under his feet. In Colossians it talks about they were under the feet of God. He had them under his feet. Now, for you have girded me up with strength unto the battle. You have subdued unto me those who rose up against me. By the way, in verse 39, this is our daily thing. We are in a daily battle, especially today. We're in what's called the end time today. This may be the time of Christ in 2020. May be the time of Christ. It may be 2029. It may be 2030. But it's not going to be, I don't believe, past the 20s before the Lord is going to come on the scene. You say, well, you know that every single generation people had said that? Yes, but the signs were closer and closer and closer. And they're here now closer. Let's look at verse 40. You have also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them who hate me. And he that, those that hated him on the cross, my goodness, they ended up in hell. And they're there today, burning in hell today. And what I believe the underworld can see, I believe those in hell can see their loved ones up here, can see those that are following their very acts and are going to come to that very place, making their hell not just hot fire, but making their hell a mental misery and a broken heart misery, yet they can't have a broken heart. They cried, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Now those in hell, that's what they're doing. They're crying in misery, but they won't get an answer. There'll be no answer from the Lord. And you know that the Pharisees that spit on Jesus, that took him and had him arrested and put him in the cross, that lied over him, are down there too. And do you not know that their punishment is in a hotter place of hell than the majority? Because they were supposed to be God's people. Their law said there is a Messiah coming. His name is going to be Jesus. He is going to be born in a manger. He is going to have a virgin mother. He's going to stay in Bethlehem for a few days, and then he is going to go to Egypt, and then he's going to return. And then all the things that it said, every single solitary prediction happened just exactly like it said in the very book that they were writing and preaching. And yet they didn't believe their own book. And the Lord, to the Lord Christ, but a prayer, of course, which could not be answered, no matter how religious man may be. If he opposed Christ and the cross, God will not answer his prayer. The only way, sir, man, boy, girl, that you can have a communion with Jesus Christ, the one who died on the cross, is to say, God, I am a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come into my heart and save my soul. I know that I give my testimony many times, but I'm going to give it one more time right now. God said this, November 5th to me, 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk as a skunk, wrecked my car. God said, your number's up. I said, Lord, I'm a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come into my heart and save my soul. Never took another drink, never swore another cuss word. 3 o'clock in the morning, November 5th, 1972. After several years of being an alcoholic and a cusser. God is real. Jesus is real. Try him. Try him. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the dirt in the street. Whew. Man, oh man. Talking about what David did. This is like God thrashing these dead souls that are still conscious. The man may die, but he's conscious. He's facing God now. He's in a different realm. His spirit realm is facing God, and God is thrashing him and doing this. You have delivered me from the strivings of the people, and you have made me the head of the heathen. A people whom I have not known shall serve me. Due to the cross, the Gentile has been brought to Christ. Because the Jew rejected him, the obedience will be total in the coming millennium. Now, the coming millennium is talking about a 1,000-year period that may be above you if you're just now getting into the Bible. And if you're not just getting in, that's a time when you will be used by God to do something in a 1,000-year period. Well, you say, what am I going to do there? Well, how are you living now? How are you living now? When you took the job you're on right now, and you were a greenhorn, and you knew nothing about it, and you were there 1 year, you probably got a promotion if you were doing proper. 2 years, you probably got a promotion. 3 years, you may even become the boss. Because you were stewardess and you learned. And that's what God's looking for. He's looking for Christian people who are following him. That in the 1,000-year reign, he can use them in the millennium. That's the 1,000 end time years when those who are God's today will be doing something for the Lord during that period of time with a new group of people. A group of people that did not go to hell and did not go to heaven when the great rapture took place. And those that were Jesus were taken to heaven, and those others that were cast into hell that had rejected Jesus, there's going to be a group, for some reason or another, that hadn't had the opportunity. Well, God is a God of mercy. He's a God of righteousness. He's a God that is going to make sure that group, whether it be babies, I don't know that. And whether it be the Jews that never heard, I don't know that. I don't know who that group is at all, period. And nobody else does either. But God knows there's a group, an innumerable number. And they're going to be put on a place on this earth, and it's going to be a new start for 1,000 years. What is the awesomest part of the whole deal is that after 1,000 years, that the devil's been bound up in hell for 1,000 years, the bottomless pit, that God is going to turn him loose. And he's going to deceive 1/3 of the population in the millennium that were in the millennium, because they are going to choose by deceit him instead of God. And that will leave nothing but the pure on the earth. And that next renovation that God's going to do is going to be permanent forever for all of those of us who are with him and all those that were with him from the beginning. As soon as they hear of me, they shall obey me. The strangers shall submit themselves unto me. Now listen to this. In the New Testament, that's the Old Testament. In the New Testament, Paul was given the responsibility of taking the message of the Redeemer to the Gentile world. From that time until the millennium, they have accepted Christ. Well, I love the fact that as I read in Matthew, as Jesus walked across the earth, he looked at somebody and he said, "Follow me." And they left what they had and followed him. And James and John, Zebedee, they left their father and they walked away from their boat. Peter walked away from everything he had, and all 12 of the disciples walked away from the world and followed Jesus. Our time is up. We'll see you next time. Right. Bye-bye. I got to get to the right